Meet my husband.
Hey, big fella.
Mom, Dad, this is my boyfriend.
Now, it's not easy being a new parent. My girlfriend's daughter got me pulling my hair out, okay?
Oh, Superman is coming out as bisexual. That's right, the new Superman. His name is John Kent.
This is part 2 of the not-so-secret gay agenda and the Don't Say Gay bill. Hey guys, my name's Jason Wesley, and this is not a podcast. So in part 1, you got to see where there's nowhere in the parental rights and education bill where the words don't say gay are ever written. You also learned about the sexual orientation called furries and a bit of the ideology leading some to want to sexualize and indoctrinate children. People with this ideology don't just believe that your children are yours, they believe that they are surrogate parents. It's why they're offended that you would even try to keep your kids from them. Don't believe me? Here's MSNBC's Melissa Perry back in 2013.
We have never invested as much in public education as we should have because we've always had kind of a private notion of children. Your kid is yours and totally your responsibility. We haven't had a very collective notion of these are our children. So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities. Once it's everybody's responsibility and not just the households, then we start making better investments.
So if my kid isn't mine and it's a part of the community's and something happens due to negligence, does the whole community share in the jail sentence with me as a parent? It's like they want the freedom to control but don't want the responsibility that goes along with it when it doesn't work out. Kind of like forcing school closures, but a massive rise in youth suicides.
Suicide attempts among girls now up 51% this year.
Oh, that's not our fault. Or defunding the police, but a massive rise in crime.
By those in law enforcement, from burglaries to arson to human trafficking. According to the latest stats, it's an incomprehensible 137% jump.
That's not our fault, but you also have parents like this one that believe that their boy is a girl.
To your face, Ty.
Makeup.
You put makeup on it?
Mm-hmm.
How old are you?
7.
No, how old are you?
7.
You're 4.
No, it's 7.
Are you a boy or a girl?
A girl.
A girl?
Mm-hmm.
Were you born a girl? Were you born a girl?
Yes.
When you were a baby, were you a girl?
Yes.
Are you in a boy's body, though?
Yes.
Yeah.
So he believes that he's 7 and you correct him as a parent because you know better. But he says he's a girl and you don't correct him. Maybe it's because you don't know better, or maybe your ideology is more important than the truth. But it's the ideology that will eventually come for everyone. No one is safe. Not even if you're a baby that literally knows nothing, you're going to be labeled transphobic.
I've talked about the transphobic baby at work before. I went in a room with him today and I had my wig on, which I took off now because it's like 9 o'clock at night. He didn't cry. And he was like babbling at me. And I had to look at him and like, do you like me now because we've had a moment? Or do you like me now because I have long hair and look more feminine? Because then you're more transphobic. And then he started to cry, so that was my answer.
Amy Schneider said that bills that prevent surgery for youth will cause the death of children.
They're really scary, and some of them in particular that are denying medical services to trans youth. Those are life-saving medical treatments, and they will, these bills will cause the deaths of children. And that's really sad to me, and it's really frightening.
And for those who don't know, Amy is the winningest woman that's ever been on Jeopardy. Here's Good Morning America host celebrating this.
Jeopardy champion Amy Schneider in a league of her own now this morning. She won for the 21st straight time on Wednesday, the most by a woman, just days after taking the record for highest all-time earnings for a woman. Earlier this year, Schneider, she made history as the first transgender contestant to make the Tournament of Champions. She still has a long way to go, though, to catch host Ken Jennings and his 74-game winning streak, but it has been fun to watch.
She's well on her way. And I've just got one question. Who run the world? Girls.
But do they, though? It seems as if men are winning. Woman of the Year is a man. Female track star is a man. The fastest girl in Connecticut is a boy. Leah Thomas won the NCAA championship in swimming and broke the women's record is a man. Olympic powerlifting world record holder for women is a man. First female 4-star admiral is a man. And the most winnings at Jeopardy by a woman is a man. Well-known grifter Beto Francis O'Rourke, who's running for Texas governor again for some reason, tweeted a picture of him wearing a shirt that said, "Don't mess with trans kids," with a Texas flag rebranding the statement, "Don't mess with Texas." But anytime you point out these Marxist leftists and what they're doing, they get upset at you for even pointing it out. Here's New York Times opinion piece by Michelle Goldberg titled "The Rights Disney Freakout." In the piece, she constantly refers to people that support the parental rights bill as the right or QAnon, when it's parents of all political parties that support their right as a parent over their children to teach them about sexuality, but when it's age appropriate. In fact, most Democrat parents agree with the parental rights bill. Wall Street Journal: when Americans are presented with the actual language of the new Florida law, it wins support by more than a 2-to-1 margin. That's from a new poll by Public Opinion Strategies. Overall, 61% of people said they supported the Don't Say Gay law, with 26% opposed. Even more notable is the breadth of that sentiment. Democratic voters in the poll support the law 55% to 29%. Among suburban voters, which could be a decisive group for midterm elections, it's 60% to 30%. Parents, 67% to 24%. Biden voters, 53% to 30%. Respondents who know someone LGBTQ, 61% to 28%. Those figures might come as a shock to Florida's progressive activists, including those who happen to work at Walt Disney. Here's a parent reading from a book available at a high school.
A week after you get back from Savannah, you are on your bed and you come and she says, "I love you." You are both sweaty. The silicone strap-on is still in your body. When dating men, you always loved feeling a soften inside you afterwards. Now you pant on her chest and slide off, and it springs back to where it was. Slick and erect, but spent just the same. This is what we're asking our children to read. It's a strap-on dildo. She shaves her smooth, and it glows like the inside of a conch shell. She loves wearing a harness. You suck her off that way, and she comes like it's real, and lifting off the mattress. In the Dream House is so explicit that introducing it to minors probably constitutes child abuse under Texas law.
Here's another parent reading from a book available for 4th graders at a school board meeting.
On page 19, not that it really matters in 4th grade, at a church youth group meeting out in the bushes, I touched Doug Goebel's dick and he touched mine. In fact, there was even some mouths involved. That's on page 91. What if I told you I touched another guy's dick? What if I told you I sucked it? I was 10 years old, but it's true. I put Doug Goebel's dick in my mouth. I was in 4th grade. It was no big deal. He sucked mine too. And you know what? It wasn't terrible. Page 174. I don't know if I signed for this one. Yeah, I did. He talked about old times at the church, but never mentioned our penises or the fact that he never said 10 words to me after our little foray in the bushes. Not a single reference to holding or tugging or sucking dicks. All I could think about while he was chatting me up was his little salamander between my 4th grade fingers, rapidly engorging with blood.
There are people that want to break up the family unit. They want to separate children from families, and if they can't convince you to abort your child, they want to convince you to allow them to indoctrinate your child. There's a section in Jeremiah 6 that jumped out at me this week. Verse 10 says, "To whom can I give this warning? Who will listen to me? Look, their ears are closed, so they cannot hear. See, the word of the Lord has become offensive to them. They find no pleasure in it. But I am full of the Lord's wrath. I am tired of holding it back." Then down in verse 13 it says, "For from the least of them to the greatest, all are greedy for gain. From prophet to priest, all practice deceit. They dress the wound of my people with very little care, saying, 'Peace, peace,' when there is no peace at all. Are they ashamed of the abomination they have committed? No, they have no shame at all. They do not even know how to blush. So they will fall among the fallen. When I punish them, they will collapse." Now we can continue to walk around with blinders on, pretending that nothing is happening, like the meme of the dog surrounded by fire by K.C. Green. Or alternatively, we can acknowledge the truth and not be afraid to speak the truth. And I'm not talking about my truth or your truth, because that's just another way of saying my perspective and your perspective. I'm talking about even basic truths, just like whenever the child said that he was 7 years old and the parent corrected him.
How old are you?
7.
No, how old are you?
7.
You're 4.
But whenever he said that he was a girl, she affirmed him. There's a time for the emergency broadcast system. God is ringing the alarm to his people. Imagine the emergency broadcast system is announcing an alarm of something to come, like the alarm that goes off in Israel when rockets are being fired in from Hamas. And people are walking around saying, oh, everything is fine. Why do you even care? As Dan Bongino says,
that's the hard facts, folks. You want to hear it? Again, cutesy time's over.
Will you be